Yo, what's going on guys? I'm Code Red, and welcome back to my Rocket League map making tutorial series. If you haven't seen the last video, you should go watch that one first. Just click the card in the top right, or the first link in the description. That video covers the basic setup, and by the end, you should have UDK fully installed. In this video, we're going to introduce you to the UDK interface, create a very basic first map, and load it into Rocket League. I know that sounds like a lot, but don't worry, I'll try to make it as simple to understand and follow as possible. Before we get started though, I should mention that this is a very new channel, and currently only 3% of my viewers are actually subscribed. So if you could just hit the subscribe button, that would really help me out a ton. Now with that inevitable YouTube promo stuff out of the way, let's get started. The first thing you'll see when you open up UDK should be something like this. You can click New Map, or you can just use the map already loaded here to get started. It's really up to you, but I'm just going to use the default map already loaded. To look around, hold right click while you're in this little window right here, which is the preview of your current map, and move your mouse around. And to move, like move your camera around in the scene, use WASD, Q, and E. Q and E move you up and down, and WASD moves you, forward, back, left, and right, stuff like that. You can select objects by clicking on them, and then you can move them around just like this. You can also rotate and scale objects. To switch between these different modes, just press space while selecting an object. Right now though, our map is looking pretty boring. To add geometry to our map, we basically have two options. Either we add assets by using the content browser, or we can draw geometry using the brush. If you're wondering what the brush is, it's this red cube right here. To use the brush, select a shape you want in the top left. Unfortunately, cubes don't work properly with Rocket League. You'll just fall right through them for some reason. I don't know, it's some weird collision thing. So let's choose something else, maybe this one. Now as you can see, the brush now outlines where our shape will be placed. We can edit our shape by hand by pressing this button, and then selecting these little vertices and moving them around. Or you can change the values directly by right-clicking on the shape you want and editing the values here directly. To add the geometry, we press this button. Now you have many options to choose from. To just make a platform, choose blocking volume, which will make an invisible collision volume. Then to make it, actually visible in our scene, select CSG Add. Now we have our first platform. Although this is a completely legitimate way of making our first map, it's pretty ugly and generally hard to work with. In general, most maps nowadays are not made using the brush. If we want to make our own geometry, generally it's better to model it in a program like Blender, which we'll be covering in a later video. But for now, let's just make a standard Rocket League map using the meshes we downloaded in the last video. To do that, we need to open up this window. It should be in the bottom left corner. If you don't see it, you can open it at any time by going to View, Browser Windows, Content Browser. This window has some tabs that I should probably go over real quick. The Content Browser tab allows you to browse all the assets you currently have available to drag and drop into your map. There are also actor classes, which have all the classes we can use like lights, cameras, and as well as like Rocket League classes like boost pads and player spawns. And lastly, we have the Scene tab. This is basically a list of all the objects currently in your scene. Now that we have that out of the way, let's go back to the content browser. On the left, scroll down under packages. As you can see, I have a lot of stuff here that you probably don't have. These are called dummy assets. Like the dummy classes we downloaded in the last video, they are assets that pretend to be assets from the game, just like dummy classes pretend to be classes from the game. So Rocket League is tricked into thinking they're actual Rocket League assets, like, the meshes in a Rocket League map. However, these aren't as good to work with as the park_p assets that we downloaded last time because we can't see them in UDK, making them very hard to make a map with. If you want them though, I have a link in the description to download them. Anyway, let's add our first asset. Under park_p, go to field collision_standard. If you can't find it, make sure to fully load the package first. If you don't know how to do that, just right click the package and click fully load. It might take a little bit. When it's done though, you should see this, and here we have all the collision meshes used for a standard Rocket League map. Let's drag a corner into the center of our map. As you can see, even though we dragged it to the center, it's offset by quite a lot. This is because the origin of this model is offset from the mesh in such a way that all you need to do is place 4 corners in the exact center and rotate them around, and then they're in the right spots. Let me show you what I mean. While still selecting this corner, right-click it and select Static Mesh Properties. These are all the properties of this object. In the search bar, search location, and then change the location to 0, 0, 0, which is the center of our map. Now let's close that window, copy this corner, and paste the last 3 corners. Now we have 4 corners, but they're all in the same location. To change that, select a corner from the stack and rotate it 180 degrees. Now select another corner from the now 3 corner stack and also rotate it 180 degrees. We're getting closer, but we still have 2 corners missing, as you can see. To finish the corners, select 1 corner from each corner stack by selecting Control, and then right-click one of them and under Transform, mirror it over the Y-axis. Congratulations, you made all 4 corners, and they're all in the right spots. Now let's get the floor ready. Just select the default ground, press space until you can scale it, and scale it up. Also, let's delete the default cube and the platform we created earlier. Just select them and press the delete key. Remember though, our platform is made up of a blocking volume and a CSG, which is the visual stuff. So make sure to delete both. The CSG might be a little hard to delete, so if you have trouble, go to the Scene tab in the content browser, which I showed you earlier, and delete the object named Brush. Now that we have the basic floor and some corners, I say it's ready to test. Obviously we aren't done, but I think it's good to test as early as possible. But before we do, we've forgotten one crucial step. We have to make the entire map actually collidable, because right now we'll just fall right through it. There are a few special settings we'll need to change in order to do this. To do it, let's select all of the meshes by holding Control and left-clicking each one, and then right-click one of them and go to Static Mesh Properties. This is the Static Mesh Properties for all of the objects. In the search bar, search for Rigid and uncheck Disable All Rigid Body and check Block All Rigid Body. These 2 settings will make this mesh collidable. While we're here though, let's also change one more setting. Search Accept and change Accept Dynamic Decals. This doesn't do anything with collisions, but it makes it so the ball indicator shows up on these objects. So it's something you almost always want to turn on. Now, just before we finish up, we're going to want to go to Edit, World Properties, and change the kill Z to negative something. I'm going to go with negative 3000. We should also change the soft kill Z to negative 3000, I believe. The kill Z simply marks the height after which your car will be reset, and the soft kill Z, I believe, is the point in which your camera will no longer follow your car. I don't know, either way, it's a safe bet to change both of these to negative something. Okay, now let's build our map by going to Build, Build All. This might take a while, but this is an important step, as it makes the lighting in the map work properly and also build other important stuff in your map. In general, it's always a good idea to build your map before saving it. Now that it's done building, we can actually save the map. Just click Save and save wherever you want. Then open the folder you just saved your map in and open your Rocket League directory. For me, that's right here. In there, open the TA game folder and then the Cooked PC console folder. Now in here, let's create a new folder called Mods. This is where we can add our map. Just copy and paste your map that you just created in this folder. However, nothing will happen if we open the game just yet. After all, the game doesn't even know this map exists within its folders. But what we can do is rename this file to labs_utopia_p.upk, which will make Rocket League believe this map is actually a Rocket Labs map. Now, all we need to do is launch Rocket League and hop into this map in free play. When opening Rocket League, this message will show up. Don't worry, this just means you did it correctly, and Rocket League is thoroughly confused, since it sees 2 versions of the same map. Don't worry though, because our map is the newest version, it will be the one that will be loaded up in free play. And there you have it, your first Rocket League map. You will immediately notice that the lighting is a little wonky, and don't worry, we'll change that soon. Not much to do though right now, as there aren't any goals, and you may also notice that you can't drive on the walls. You'll just slip and slide and fall off of them. So now that we've gained all this knowledge from our playtest, let's fix our map. First, the lighting. I'm actually not quite sure why this happens, but the bottom line is these default directional lights don't work properly with the ball in the car. They used to back when I made maps, but since then they've obviously updated Rocket League a lot, so they must have changed that at some point. To fix this issue, right-click the default directional light and click Convert Light, Directional Lights, Directional Light. If you can't find the light, try going to the Scene tab in the content browser. Now, let's make it so we can drive on the walls. In order to drive on a wall, the wall has to have a physics material known as sticky walls. Let's create that material now. In the content browser, under Packages, scroll down until you see a package with the same name as your map. Open that up, and currently it's empty, but this is where we're going to put all of our own custom assets. Let's create our first one. Right-click and create a new physical material, and name it Sticky Walls. After that, a window like this should pop up. At the very bottom, select Physical Material Property _TA under the Physical Material Property. Now, just select Sticky Walls and you're done. Now to apply this material to the corners, select them all, go to Properties, and search for Physics. In order to add it to the mesh, you need to select the Sticky Walls material in the content browser like this. It will be highlighted with a yellow box around it, and then click the green arrow here. All throughout this process, it is a smart idea to save your map multiple times. I can't count how many times I've had UDK crash at the most inconvenient times and wish I had just saved a little earlier. Just remember to save by clicking File, Save Current Level, as for some reason Ctrl+S doesn't save the level. Now the corners are complete, but we still aren't done with the map. Let's add the walls and goals now. In the same place we found the corners, which should be right here, drag 2 lower side pieces, 2 upper side pieces, and 2 goals into the center of our map. Now select everything you just added, excluding the goals, and go to the static mesh properties, and now move them to the center like you did with the corners, just by changing the location to 0, 0, 0. After that, select a lower side and mirror it like I showed you with the corners, and mirror an upper side as well. After that, you should be left with this. Everything is in place now, apart from the goals. Unlike the other assets we've added so far, they don't go to the right place if you center them, so we're going to need to place them each manually. Select one and go to Static Mesh Properties and move that one to 0, 5, 1, 2, 3, 0. Now select the other goal and move it to 0, negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 0, and make sure to rotate it 180 degrees. Now we gotta make all these new meshes collidable. Select them all and go to Static Mesh Properties, then search for Rigid and uncheck this box and check this one, then search for Dynamic and select Accept Dynamic Decals, just like we did earlier. Now the map is basically playable, except, well, there are no walls and ceiling. Let's use the std_net mesh for this, which you can find by going under park_p and searching for stdnet in this little search bar at the top. Unfortunately though, this mesh won't be as simple as the other ones. You see, I believe this mesh wasn't originally designed to be a collision mesh, meaning if you try and use it like the other meshes, it won't be collidable with. However, there's a way we can get around this, and I'm going to show you how to do it. First, right-click the net mesh in the content browser and select Export to File. Then save the mesh as a .fbx file. Then go to the content folder, just one level up from your maps folder, and drag the mesh into our tutorial package in UDK. Call it whatever you want and hit OK. Then when it's done importing, edit the mesh, scroll down here, and uncheck these 3 boxes. And now we have a normal net mesh. Now this mesh will act like any other mesh we've used, so let's add it. Just like the corners, add one and center it. Then paste it 3 more times and rotate 2 of them. Then select one net from each stack and mirror it. Now we're finally done with our ugly but playable map. Well, except we haven't made the nets collidable. And you should know how to do this by now. Just go to the properties, make sure to uncheck this box, check this one, and check dynamic decals. And now everything's done. Before we save it though, we gotta build our map by going to here, and then we save it. And now copy and paste it into your mods folder, and then copy the Utopia Rocket Labs map name from our previous map file, and delete the old version. Then paste the name onto our new map file. Don't forget to change the ending to UBK instead of .udk. Now, if we go into our map, we have a somewhat normal Rocket League map. Obviously, there's still a lot to work on. For instance, we still can't score, and there aren't any boost pads, but it's a great start. Next time, we'll be adding boost pads, spawns, and goals to our standard map. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you for all the support you had on the last episode of the series. It's been a little bit stressful making this episode. as, well, over the course of making it, I kind of realized I was a little over my head. I had to ask a lot of questions on the Rocket League map Discord server, link in the description, and in general, I just realized this isn't probably the best series for me to make, but I've already committed, and you guys seem committed and hopeful for the next few episodes, and I will make sure to make this series as good as possible, despite the fact that I'm not the best map creator out there. And again, if you want more detailed questions that I probably won't be able to answer, make sure to ask them in the Discord server, link in the description. Hopefully the next episode won't take as long to come out too, but no promises. Anyway, see you guys next time. Bye!